Hello, my friend. It's Pat Sloan here for March 1st. And it is Monday night for the fireside chat version of my daily video. Thank you for joining me here in March. And you have to stay all the way to the end because I'm going to do sort of a recap of getting to March, what was going on last March 1st and where we are today on this March 1st. So stick to the end, stick to the end. But first I want to talk about our block. So we have our calendar. Okay, keep talking. So, so we have our calendar and we're doing the March Hope, which is one block a day. So that by the end of the month we have 30 blocks, and you can be sewing the rows as you go along if you sort of put that thought process into it, so that by the time you get to the end of the month, on the last day of the month, or maybe a day or two before, you can cheat and you can get it the top done and then get it basted, maybe even have it finished by the end of the month. So I want to talk about the process that I'm using to figure out what fabrics I want. Because what happened was I was getting the block ready to do this video, and I thought, oh, that's great. I like this first block. So I thought, well, I'm going to do the second block because it's there's two blocks, when they go next to each other. This is intended to be scrappy, intended to maybe be not as controlled. I know a few people want to have, like, I just want to use 5 fabrics, and so that's fine, but I designed it so that it would be more organic than that it would be more scrappy, even if it's controlled scrappy. So I thought, well, in order to really see what the design is going to be like, let me see what the alternate block is, what fabrics and what kind of rhythm and pattern do I want. And I had something in my head that I thought I would want based on the starter bundle. I had like 6-8 fabrics I was going to start with, and then add to it from my fabric that I already own. So I made the second block and I went, that is not doing what I hoped. So I was like, well, this is interesting, because sometimes that happens. Just because I design a lot of quilts doesn't mean that what I have in my head when I put it into fabric is going to make me happy. Does it make my heart sing? So I thought it would be great, because I actually had to go through multiple reiterations. Is that the word? Variations. There we go. I had to do several variations, mock-ups, because I can do things digital. I did some photos and then sort of, made these little collages so I could kind of see what was going on. And I'm going to show you that. I'm going to show you what I did in that sequence of events to get to where I might have my second block. I'm not sure. As I'm taping this on Saturday, I don't know what my second block will be yet. I'm maybe no. So maybe by Tuesday, when I show you the second block for March 2nd, that's tomorrow, then I'll have figured it out. I'll have whichever one I like. So I started, let's talk about this. I started with this group of fabrics. I have this bundle that I had gotten, and there was all of these. There's the swan, there's a big floral, a teal, turquoise, aqua, however you want to call that. This is more aqua. See, this is a little bit more green with the whales. And then this really fun cats, the jumping cats. I just love them. So I had all of these plus some companions, like some pinks and yellows. So that was my starter. My idea then was, let me just show you the first. Let me show you the block that I love. I love this one. Love. This is the one I love. So I made it. Whoops, let's get you over here. I know. Whoop. There we go. Shuffling. All right, now we're in business. So I like this one. So I used all of those 5 fabrics, because then I can do 6 of each center, because what I want to do is actually cut all of this up. So I want to cut it all up so that as we go every day, I can just sew it in a few minutes. Maybe sew 2 some days if I feel like I'm not going to get to it. But sewing one, but if it's all cut, it's a lot simpler. So what happened? I used this guy first, the kitty, as a center. And then I had pulled, this is from the same fabric line. It's called Seaweed, and this pink is from the same fabric line. So I thought, fantastic. I had the black, I owned some of the black, so all the pink blocks were gonna have black corners. And then I thought, well, because there are teal blocks, you know, like let's pretend, like there's one I could have put teal in the center. I mean, and you know, there's one with another one of the teal that has the horses. So I thought, because I had some of the teal and that seemed to be working really well with this fabric line, that I would do the second block in teal. But there we go. Let's see. I used the swans, and here's the second block, which I love. The second block by itself, and I did the yellow corners because there's pops of yellow in, like there's the yellow, like a yellow green in the center there, and with all these other fabrics, there is some yellow in all of them. So I thought, okay, great, this looks really good. So then I put them side by side, and I was like, they're just real high contrast. They're not the thing I was envisioning. They're so high contrast. I thought, well, one thing that I may have done in the past was to just barrel through. I may have gone like, okay, well, I'm going to cut up a bunch of scrappy pinks, cut up a bunch of scrappy teals, use these whites, the polka dots and stuff, and I'll just keep going. But I thought, you know, I'm already thinking that this quilt is not going to make my heart sing. You know, I like each block individually, but together in like a whole, you know, like alternating pink and teal, I'm not sure. So let's do a mock-up. So I did a mock-up, and this is what the mock-up looks like. So I was like, okay, that is not it. So I had some options. I thought, okay, there's a lot of yellow in it. What if I went and got some of the yellow fabric that I have, and let me just pull you here. So let me get some of the yellow fabric that I have and just put it over top, and we'll do another picture. We'll just sort of do a mock-up. So the thing is, I did not want to cut. You know, I did not want to cut and sew mock-up blocks. So this is a way for you to create a mock-up. I've got the design board here. If they're not sticking real well, you can just take a pin and hold the whole thing in there if you need to, like that. So what I did here for these side strips, because I've already got a block underneath with cornerstones, I folded under. So I took this strip. These are the actual size strips in case I intend to use these, and I folded it. So that can lay there. And then I folded the other one the other way, so that can lay there, and I can do a mock-up. Now I wouldn't want to have yellow corners on a yellow block. So I have a lot of this particular teal. So I just cut triangle, made a square and cut triangles so that I could just do this mock-up. Okay, so like that. So now I have the yellow, which I love this block. So I love the blocks individually, but the blocks have to go next to each other in the quilt. So let's see. We'll put the block next to it, and it's pretty good. I like pink and yellow. Pink and yellow are something that works for me. And I'm pretty happy with that. It seems to be a less jarring contrast than the aqua one. So let's see how it looks as a mock-up. You know, I'm taking each of these individual ones and I'm just putting them in my design software, the photos next to each other, and gets this picture. Now I thought, well, what if I did all pink? What if I just busted a stash of pinks? And so all the centers, like some of them would be teal. Like, see, like if that guy was a teal center, isn't that cool? I really like that. But I thought, well, what if these were all pink instead? See, like there, that aqua guy keeps falling off. We'll just stick a pin in the board. There we go. You can buy these design boards. I have a link down below and at my website. You can get them at the Fat Quarter Shop already made, so you don't have to make them. All right, so that's the yellow. So I went into my fabric I own, and this is sort of a peachy color, and I thought, well, let's try this and let's see what it looks like, because we could make the whole quilt with different pinks that I bust out of my stash. That would be good. You know, I could take all of the ones that I don't have very much of them, you know, and I could cut enough to make however many blocks that would make, and then maybe whatever's left over I could put in my 2.5 inch square scrap system. So here is a pink, and like this one, I don't think I even have enough to make a second block, so it would get used, it would get cut into the scrap system. But here's a pink, and I like that one. So as I do them individually, they work out. It's how we're going to get them into a quilt with another block. So if I did all pinks, like different shades of pink, like these are two pinks are very different, but if I did a whole lot of pinks, like then it would be very scrappy and really pretty with all different shades of pink. And if this were, let's see, you could see there as an alternate, there would be a center with the aqua, so maybe I would even do more aqua centers with that. So let's see how that looks as a mock-up. So you can see here the whole mock-up of this one, which looks pretty good. I mean, I like the pink and I like the black corners. We could even do yellow corners. You could, you know, leave yellow corners on this. That would be nice. You know, options. But I thought, let's try something else. Let's try something different than how I have the block shaded. Just because the block is shaded, where's the pattern? Oh, sorry. Okay. So just because the block is shaded like this doesn't mean this is how you have to put your fabric in the spots. You know, I am thinking, what if I switch this polka dot, you know, like a print like this, out to this level, so that when I'm alternate, I will have the pink here, and then I will have a white here, and then in here would be pink. All right, so I did a different kind of mock-up for this one without using the block as the base. So let's take a look at that, and I will put it down here on the table. So this time I just took the fabric to fold it. So I took a big piece of the white, of a white print. I'm not doing solid white, so I'm going to do prints, and I have a lot of white prints, and so I could do quite a few, like cut up as much as I can of certain ones, like that polka dot is so amazing, but I only have so much of that, and then use some others. And then here is this particular fabric came with this fabric line, like all of these, not the black, but all these other ones are in the same fabric line that came in that bundle. And here I could put the swans in the middle, and then you could see the teal or the turquoise, whatever word you like to use for this color, aqua, teal, turquoise. These are sort of always, these remind me of like old-fashioned photo albums, the little corners you would put the photos in. So there you go. There is a mock-up of this block, and then what if it went next to that one? So now you have a large visual of a light, of an off-white with a print, and then you have that same print, you know, some sort of similar feel print on the inside. Then it would be on the outside and the inside, outside and the inside as we go across. So let's see a mock-up of that one. And that one's really nice. I really like that one, and I think as of the moment I'm taping this and showing it to you, that is my favorite, which is meaning I'm not exactly following the layout shading, and that's totally okay. This is a scrappy quilt. It's for you to play with for the month, to learn something about how to play with your fabric, to use up some of your fabric. It doesn't have to be real specific. Sometimes the way we learn best is to actually get in there and mess around with your fabric. Try some different options like I did here. I mean, these are a lot of iterations of and versions of this block that I've just done to come up with something that I'm going to be happy with, because I am going to cut all of it, and I don't want to cut a bunch of stuff up and then find out I really would have rather done it another way. So I will do this second block, and I think I'm going to I think I'm going to actually sew this one. I'm going to go ahead with this one and sew it and see how it looks. One of the things I was noticing when I was cutting some of the squares out is like these will have to be, I'll have to have 2 different fat quarters to use this, because I don't have enough of that dot for the whole thing, which is fine. It'll be scrappy. And then I probably have enough of this teal to do all of them. I have a pretty big piece of this, so that'll be fun. Then if I go with this layout, I can go through and find a bunch of other like white with black images like these are, plus the polka dots. And those will be alternating in all the blocks sprinkled around. And then still go with these different fabrics for the centers. So there we go. Well, that's the same one as there. And this one, and you got the horses up here. So I have these options, which will be really fun for the middles. And I did find a link. A lot of this fabric was from a line called Talon. So I did find another link where you could still get some of the Talon. Like I might get some for a small border. That's what I'm thinking. One of the prints, maybe. I don't know. These kind of like these cats, or maybe this aqua. Who knows? I'm gonna look and see. Gonna look and see. Now, one of the things when I'm cutting out the centers, if I'm going to make 6 centers out of each of these 5 fabrics, I'm going to have to do some fussy cutting to get images I like. If I'm going to take the time to do a center image like this, I'm just not going to cut a strip and subcut it into 3.5-inch squares so that I just have a cat butt in one thing and maybe no cat in another one. That doesn't interest me for this quilt. For this quilt, I want all of these center images to be something spectacular. I want to see the swans, like on this one. I want to see them right in the middle. I don't want a bunch of swan parts. I want one of the horses right in the middle. There's actually a bunny that's smaller than this, so I can do one with the bunny. But that also means my fabric will start to here, I'll hold it upside down. It'll start to do this. You know, like I'm going to have to move around, particularly on this one, in order to get the images that I want. And I'm okay with that. That is some waste. There will be waste. But what I decided to do is I'm going to play around and I'm keeping all these little pieces that were left from cutting out the special images, and I might make a couple of crumb blocks with these. Now, a lot of people know what crumb blocks are, but a few of them you might not know, and it's basically taking these small pieces, which are just little tiny strips that they're going to be too small for most things you're going to work on. They're not very wide, and then you sew them together. So you sew them until they become one new piece of fabric. And then from that new piece of fabric, you can cut, squares, half square triangles, and make, or just, sew them, make them of just a square of themselves, of all these fabrics, and then make those into something else. Yes, we're not wasting anything, are we? Not wasting anything. And that's like not my normal mode. Normally I would just toss that whole group because I'm just not one to do that, but I'm going to keep them. Now when I do the snow and flip, the the sew and flips for these corners here, for these corners, I have these that are cut off. I am going to run those through and keep them because maybe I will put them in the border. I might put them in the border, who knows? But I figure I'm going to have quite a few. There's 4 per block and there's 30 blocks. So there's going to be a lot of those. Now, well, maybe I'll just go ahead and sew them all together. Often I don't bother because they're 1 inch finished. So that's pretty small from this sew and flip, and I'm not sure what I could use, make a little inner border with some of them, do something cute, I don't know. But I thought, okay, on this particular one for this month of March, that would be fun to do, is to mess around with those. try to see what happens, try to see what I'm going to do. So I hope this gives you some ideas. I will have all of those mock-up photos that I just showed you over, they're all over on my website. So when you go down to my website for today, you can see all of those and take a good close look at them and see what, and I'll put the single blocks too, so that you can get an idea for the process and how the things look, and then take a look at what you're working on. I know a lot of you are planning some scrappy ones for your March Hope block, so those will be really fun to see. Scrappy is, you know, like you're just doing a whole bunch of different fabric or using one fabric line and using all the fabrics in it. Whenever in doubt, add in something like this white print with like the polka dots. Of course, I love polka dots, but or even like the white print here. Add some of that into your project because it helps your eye have a little bit of a place to rest, and it gives some cohesiveness if you have that sprinkled through your quilt, so that your eye can sort of go around and see, oh, okay, there's some pattern there, and our minds like pattern. So that might be helpful if you're sort of looking at it thinking, oh, it needs something. Maybe your corners could be black like mine, or navy, or green, something real consistent, so that pulls everything together. All right, lots and lots of good stuff. Now, I also played around the other day when I made my rainbow. Let me get my little office assistant over here. When I made my rainbow block the other day, oops, well, okay, here we go, I'll show you. I made the rainbow block. I also had cut out to do this one. I've got this needle keeper on here, which is great, except that I've lost the needle, so I will have to find that. I think it got stuck on that fabric. See my new needle keeper? Ta-da! So I put it on there, but I think I tossed that fabric on top and lost my needle in there somewhere. Ooh, okay. So I did this one, and I thought I would just do a tiny little mug rug with the regular rainbow colors. This is all Morrison Park colors for the rainbow, except for the purple. I don't have purple, so I found a little purple in my stash and used that. So if you missed the rainbow project, I will link it below so that you can do it, because the little coasters are so cute. Couldn't you just pop one of those in the mail to a friend, or the whole mug rug, because it doesn't take that much longer to do. And once again, I just sewed across for the quilting, and I did not blanket stitch down the images at all. Now, if you are making a coaster, I would pre-wash the red and white, maybe olive fabrics, because if you put a drink that's on it that has moisture and sweats, and the red were to bleed, it'll make your, it'll bleed onto the white. Ask me how I know. I've done it. I've done it. Our shamrocks, how are the shamrocks coming? What's happened for me is, because I was doing so much with the UFO busting, I am a little behind on shamrock making, because I also had some other projects to do, but I also spent a good amount of time working on my UFOs for the end of February, for the second half of February. So I have all 3 shamrocks made to go on the table runner. And so here is the table runner from the How Tall Are You block of the Home Is, and I will be putting, well, I'll be putting like 3 shamrocks across it. It's on the pattern for the shamrocks. The thing is, I decided that maybe I might like to quilt this first, and then applique, and then fuse and applique the shamrocks after I quilt it. That way I can just do a wave quilt right the whole length, the whole length of this, without interruption of running into a shamrock. Or if I do the shamrocks first, I could just go over them, which isn't my preference. I actually prefer to put the shamrock on like, you know, put the shamrock on the quilt. Let me lay it down here, talk down here for a minute. So if the shamrock is on here and I'm quilting like across, I don't mind going across it, but I really would prefer not to. I prefer to outline the shamrock with some free motion quilting and then come in here like this and just do some little bit of accent in each of the leaves, you know, just like a little curve, like very soft. So in order to just do straight really quick to do the base of it, if I don't put the shamrock on yet, then it's easy. Then I could put the shamrock on after it's quilted, do the blanket stitch around it, and then put on my free motion foot and then this free motion in here and outline it. You might see, the downfall is, you might see some of the quilting lines sort of shadow through if you know, maybe. It's hard to tell. I don't think this fabric is going to shadow, so I really don't think that's going to happen for this one, but it's the possibility when you applique over something that's already quilted, which is not my preferred method. My preferred method is to applique it now before it's quilted, but it will save me time and it's a table runner. You know, I'm not doing heirloom quilting here with this. I'm just doing a table runner with some cute shamrocks on it. And I may even give this to a family member. I'm not quite decided yet on that, but I might. And if I do that, you know, they are not going to know that I quilted it first and then applique it on top. So you always have to sort of think about your goals for your project and, you know, your time frames and what you have. So there you go. Okay, so I promised you a little, like, you know, March introduction / recap. So last year, oh, before, wait, there's my other shamrock. I've got a top and a bottom set of little squares. I got to do the sides. They're in progress, so that's going. Okay, March 1st. Last year on March 1st, I decided that because it was pretty much looking like we were going to be having a pandemic here in the world. We didn't quite know how everything was going to happen, but I figured we were probably not going to be out and about, and we were probably all going to be staying home a lot to be safe. And so I thought, well, what if I did something really crazy? What if I did a video every day? And I did not expect to do a video every day for a year. Today is a year. So hang in here with me. I expected to do a video every day for maybe a month or two. I mean, I think all of us expected just a month or two and the pandemic would, you know, be settled somehow. No. So here it is, March 1st, 2020 to March 1st, 2021. I've done about 330 videos. 330, oh my gosh. I didn't count exactly, but I did the math by knowing that at some point I stopped doing them on Sunday. Basically after I broke my wrists, I decided that I just could not handle doing them every day. It was a struggle to do them every day when I broke my wrists. So 330 videos in 1 year. Whew. You know, and you all have been amazing to hang in here with me. I so appreciate that. I hope this has been awesome, and I love doing them. I know that as we get towards spring and summer, and hopefully our world becomes vaccinated, everybody can eventually be healthier and have reduced risks of getting very, very sick. We'll be out and about a bit more. So I know that there will be days I'll just need to take a day off. I didn't take a single day off except for when I was right out of my surgery for my wrists. So basically Sundays I still work, but I just don't do a video on Sundays right now. But I know I'll take a day off. I haven't had vacation in a very long time. Greg and I want to do some things. We would like to go away on a weekend. So whenever there might be a holiday, I don't want to have a video on the holidays normally. So eventually that'll happen, but I'll be doing them most days still. I think that they're fabulous. It keeps me accountable. It's fun to be able to share what I'm working on, and showing my process, like today, showing how I've had to work through what a block is, talking about the things quilters like to talk about, such as, do I keep these? I now have 2 of them, so they're going to go in a box. What is it? You have a collection when you have 3? So 1 more of these in that box and I'm starting to collect them. And I'll eventually do it. I can't make much of a quilt with 2 of these salvages, but eventually I'll have more salvages, and then I'll do something with them. But there's always, as quilters, there's always lots and lots of things that we do, and there's other parts of our life that we do too. And this past year, I've done pretty much nothing else but quilt and run my business. It's just been stay home and do that. But I'm getting ready. I can't wait to dig in the ground and plant some flowers. I lost my whole gardening season to broken wrists last year, so I couldn't do anything. So that was really sad. I said that was disappointing. But this year I'll be able to. We'd like, Greg and I would like to go away for a weekend. We've always enjoyed traveling, and we haven't had a chance to do that like anybody, like everybody. Everybody's in the same boat there. So we're all looking forward to that, those of us who like to travel. So fun. And so stick with me. I hope you'll stick with me. I will be here and continue to be here almost every day of the year. Minus a few, like my days off. It's a day off here, a day off there. All right, my friend. Thank you so much for joining me. Thank you for being here for the premiere. For those of you who join in about a half an hour before Monday nights, we have this fabulous chat. If you come over to my Facebook group, we've gone over 190,000 people now, so it is an awesome, rocking environment to be in, a community of quilt makers. So I love you, and I will see you online.